Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. All right, we got about 2 minutes getting ready to start the show up. Myself, Morgan Thomas, Mr. Houston Burnett, Big Al, Alan Adams on the left-hand side. Get in the chat, put your name in. Let us know where you're at, where you're from, what you want to talk about tonight, your questions. We have answers. Open phone lines, 989-704-MORG, 6674. Two open lines right now. Get in. Be a part of the show. Less than a minute. You're already in the chat. We already have things to talk about. A lot of the same things that you want to talk about, we want to talk about. If you have guts, and remember, if you're a Clemson fan, you have to bring your own guts. But if you bring them, call in 989-704-MORE, 6674. Antonio Williams discussion, we will talk about it. Peter Woods, we will talk about it. Anderson, South Carolina, we will talk about it. Townville, we'll talk about it. Get in the chat. 16 people watching. Make sure you hit the like button. It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. The Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas. Thank you for getting in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. I'm joined tonight by Big Al, Alan Adams in the middle. Alan, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. A lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight. Some more recruiting, maybe. We got some questions, comments going on already in the chat, which is awesome. So make sure you get on the phone lines, everybody. 989-704-MORE. We want to take your calls as well.
Exactly. 2 open phone lines right now. Houston, you can't call because you're on the show now. Mr. Houston Burnett. And he's muted.
I muted myself during the commercials.
There you go.
Muted myself during the commercials. And I guess we double muted. That's why I didn't come off mute. All right. Yeah, but I'm here. I had a pretty rough Father's. I got sick on Father's Day, so I'm alive now, and I'm bringing my own guts. Literally, I've brought my own guts all week. But that's a different story. So, but I'm here.
Well, I appreciate you getting in. I'm glad that you are feeling a little bit better. We'll continue the show. The show will go on, even without you, but we miss you when you're gone. And we're glad to have you back. Glad to have all 3 of us back. And if you got to tune in early this morning, I started the morning, 4 o'clock and woke up, got ready for the Mickey Plyler show. We talked about many things. We talked about Clemson recruiting this morning, so we're going to continue that discussion. We talked about my agitation with Louisville and their cheap trick recruiting. We're going to be talking about that too, because I just can't get it off my mind. And as you probably saw, if you were a part of the Twitter space right now with KJ Henry and Darren Rencher, there was some discussion and introduction to me that I didn't know about, but Antonio Williams and some drama going on, not with him, but with people treating him a certain way. Houston also enlightened me that he knows about the situation. So we'll talk about that. People getting in the chat talking about it, and we will talk about it as well. But again, recruiting news. We got 2 new guys, new young men that are a part of the 2023 class. We'll talk about that. We've got 2 young men that are potentially going to be a part of the class on July 4th weekend. We'll talk about those gentlemen and any other speculation that we do, which is all our own speculation and not aided by anything that is behind a paywall. It will be our thoughts and opinions out here. Only those. Maybe not. But again, we're glad you got in and being a part of the show. The best thing that you can do to help the show is to hit the like button. Make sure you get in over on Facebook, hit the like button. Another thing to really help the show on Facebook that I've found out is hit the share button. I don't pay for ads over here, so you just got to share it out organically. And if you could do that for me, I really appreciate it. But, you don't have to, no obligation. Risk-free, 30-day money-back guarantee. By the way, over on YouTube, you can do the same. Hit the like button. It's a little bit harder to share. You have to hit the share button and maybe text it to a friend or post it somewhere. But we really appreciate it. Got about 27 people watching, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. We really appreciate it. Again, all Clemson discussion tonight, all Clemson grads here on the show. I think it's one of the only shows out there with Clemson grads, Clemson fans, and only Clemson discussion. So thank you for getting in. Let's go through the chat, gentlemen, if you don't mind. And we'll just go down the list. This is your moment to get in. You could take up the whole hour show if it's all about you. If you want it about you, you can. This is your moment. So we'll go down the chat. All right, Jordan Bowman over on YouTube says, saw you in that Twitter space with KJ and D Wrench and co. Morgan, love the personalities on this team. LMAO. I think he's talking about our team. No, he's probably talking about the Clemson team. But our team, this group of 3 guys right here, we got a pretty good personality as well. Oh, by the way, I just noticed myself in the mirror. Did you see the Top Gun mustache?
No, Morgan, I didn't.
Did we?
Did you see it?
I think it's more concerning that everybody else.
I forgot my aviators. And also, I got my dog tags on tonight. Going to go full military on you guys tonight. So if I need to wear a gas mask, I can be protected. I'm here to protect you, gentlemen, by the way, and serve our country, but protect you too the most.
That's right.
All right. So Jordan Bowman talks about the personalities on the team. Al, I'll start with you. When it comes to family, Clemson really does it good. And I think that's what really helps them in recruiting. Would you say that the connection and the personalities and just everybody just being a family is what really makes Clemson unique? I know a lot of places say they have family, but it just seems like it's different.
Yeah. Clemson definitely does family different. It reminds me a lot of my church growing up, and it's kind of the same feel. And I think that's what Clemson uses to distinguish itself from the field, especially in the landscape of the NIL. They're going to have something. They got to have a major bullet in the gun. I think that's what they're going to use. I think there's plenty of guys that want that feel and want the character building and everything, the faith and all the stuff that Dabo kind of wraps up into one. And I think that's very important for Clemson. I think it's going to be a huge piece of the puzzle moving forward if Clemson's going to stay kind of at the top of the mountain where they've been.
Houston, do you agree?
I mean, yeah. I mean, so far what they've been selling has been working, and it's been different. It's not been private jets and Bentleys or whatever, but I know that we'll go on a diatribe about that later. It's been a different experience, and I think there's a guy that Dabo is looking for that he's right now been hitting on a lot. That's not to say that there might, this class won't be the same by the end of the year, but who knows? Like right now, everybody that's on board seems to be all in, and all these guys are very talented, and I'm very excited for what they're all bringing to the table.
You got to be all in. Maybe all in. And that's what you are when you're a Clemson Tiger. Thank you for getting in, Jordan. We'll get some more chat with you, I'm sure, as the night goes on. John Sarian, woot, woot. Woot, woot. Welcome in, John. Thank you so much. Tiggs gets in, says, what's good, Mr. Morgan T? Hey, don't forget my other guys out here. They put in a lot of work throughout the day, and they actually have jobs to do during the day as well. So get in there and give them some shout-outs as well, not just me. Todd Teal says, what's going on, guys? I'm fixing to clock in at work. Hope everyone has a great evening. Heart, 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 muscle, muscle, cool face emoji, praying cool face emoji. Todd, I hope you do well at work today. Don't break anything tonight while you're listening to the show. Bible Belt says, woo! By the way, today on the morning show, I don't know if you guys saw that or listened, but I did play Ric Flair's styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet flying little promo that he cut. And, man, that was a legendary promo. But, Al, later on, we talked about Hulk Hogan. We talked about Sting. And you say that Sting was your guy. Houston, who was your guy?
Sting was also my guy. Sting and Goldberg. Those are my two dudes. Sting and Goldberg. And I mean, there was nothing like Wolfpack Sting in the red and the black. Hey, Wolfpack was the bomb. That was the peak of pro wrestling. That's when I was watching it. That's when people like my dad, who never watches pro wrestling, was watching it. Was when the Wolfpack was in. I was all about the Wolfpack and Sting. So that's what I'm about.
Don't tempt me, because I will get this feed shut down for playing the intro song. Just do not tempt me right now.
It's a great song.
Tiggs gets in. Any thoughts on Mr. Green on the defense? He says Green with an E, so I'm assuming he might be talking about Malcolm Green. But if he's talking about Green with no E, then he could be talking about Stefan Green. So it's either way, right?
Good point. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure which one he's talking about. He needs to clarify in the comments if we can give him our true thoughts.
Let's give him our true thoughts on Malcolm Green going into next year. Al, I know you loved him from the beginning. Do you still have love for Malcolm Green?
Of course, I still have love. He's still a Clemson player, so I still have love for him for sure. But I will tell you this: he has not performed exactly, to my expectations so far. I expect to see a lot more out of him, especially this past season. And we'll kind of, Clemson's recruiting a lot of talented DBs out there, man. So it's going to be really difficult for him to really find his niche and get in there and make his mark. So if he's going to do it, he better do it soon.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with Malcolm Green, it's probably going to be something where he's in a rotation with Barrett Carter. You're going to see something similar. He might be shifting a little more down from a safety or corner into a nickel position, which I feel like he's going to be fine at that too. It's just going to be formation setup of when Barrett Carter versus him is going to be in.
Get in the open phone lines, 989-704 6674. Please get in, get your thoughts and opinions on the air. And you could be a lucky person to get on a highlight clip forever on our YouTube channel. Jordan Bowman gets in again. Also, shame on Carolina for how they treated Antonio Williams today. Houston, elaborate.
So the story goes from sources, and just to set this up for anyone who doesn't know, Antonio Green and where he's from and
Antonio
location.
Williams.
Antonio,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And I don't know why I said Antonio Green.
We were just talking about Green. We'll give you a pass.
Antonio Williams. Anybody who doesn't know about Antonio Williams, where he lives, all the situation. Antonio Williams is a 4-star wide receiver out of Dutch Fork. If you don't know where Dutch Fork is, it's in Columbia. It's right near Harbison Boulevard, and it's right as you come into town in that area around Irmo. So that's about, 15 to 20 minutes traffic getting from his high school to South Carolina's campus. South Carolina heavily pursued him. They thought he was in the bag. Clemson offered late. Antonio Williams chooses Clemson instead. South Carolina's miffed. Fast forward to today. This is 2 weeks post-graduation at Dutch Fork. Dutch Fork is playing in a 7-on-7 at South Carolina. Antonio Williams thought he might be able to just show up at the camp, support his brother that's on the team. And upon arrival and cheering on his team, he was asked by officials at the University of South Carolina to leave. And from all accounts, it's not just coming from the position coach that's recruiting him. It's rumored that the head man himself at South Carolina trickled it down that he needed to leave the campus. So Antonio Williams got kicked out of a 7-on-7 on South Carolina's campus for watching his brother simply because he didn't commit. The real story to me is, though, how harsh they are to his parents who came out and said, hey, what's the deal here? And everybody was just like, we don't care, ha, 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 nana, boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo, kind of stuff like that.
Did they really say that? Can I quote you on that?
Well, that's the PG version. There's a lot of more R-rated stuff that people were saying, and it's kind of shocking, but it's like, hey, poke the bear. That's just my reaction to this. Poke the bear. They're filling their oats right now, which I don't understand, but let them, because it's going to be a rude awakening in November when they roll to Death Valley.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game again. Another weak strength of schedule game for the Tigers coming up this season. Tiggs from Anderson, South Carolina. Welcome in. Alan's also over in Anderson. You guys should meet up for lunch sometime.
I'm not in town for lunch.
That's true. Sorry. I excuse me. Back it up. I don't even know how to say this name. Maybe we should get a better name, or maybe tell me how to say your name, please. He says from Townville, South Carolina. So we'll go from Townville. YouTube user, what's the latest on Peter Woods? Well, as far as I know, Peter Woods looks like he will be committing to some school on July 8th. So we got to wait till July 8th. But I believe if you look at on my Twitter page at the Morgan T, you will see something that is interesting, that it sticks out, and that indicates to me that there is a high level of interest for Peter Woods. And that is that he came to junior day. He took an official visit. Oh, and by the way, he took an unofficial visit on his own dime. And once you start racking up emojis on my list, Al, have you seen my list?
I've not seen this list lately. No.
But you know the emojis, right?
Yes. So
the more emojis you get, the more interested you are, because the emojis are all about the things you've done either on campus, off campus, or involved with the school. So that's the way I look at it, is the more emojis, the better. He doesn't have a crystal ball yet, as far as I know, on 24/7. However, he has visited frequently, and all signs point to Clemson is really in the fight for Peter Woods, and he would be a huge pickup because he's now a 5-star guy on 24/7. But here's the thing. It's Alabaster. That is basically Alabama's high school. You don't take somebody from Alabaster, Alan. Houston, you don't take somebody from Alabaster. Do you? But maybe you do. Maybe you do. You don't take somebody from Lakeland, Florida. Clemson did, and they lost him. But still, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Clemson to go in. You don't take a player from Phoenix City right in Auburn. Oh, but you can. You can. So Peter Woods, Clemson's got a good chance, I think. I am going to say that, I feel very confident that Clemson could land him because, one, they really need defensive line men. They need as many as they can get as to fill up their attrition that are going. A lot of them going to be first-round draft picks this next NFL draft in 2023. And then also the coaching staff. I mean, Nick Eason is an amazing coach, and he is already showing how great of a recruiter he is. And also, if you play defensive ends, Coach Ski is also another amazing coach that who wouldn't want to play for those two coaches, whether you're interior defensive line or outside edge. Houston, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Peter Woods? Are you feeling – I won't ask for a prediction because, we don't want to go off of, just assumptions here. But I will say this. How are you feeling about him?
I feel good. I'll say this. I feel confident, but I'm not going to I'm not going to feel overtly confident until, commitment or even really offer letter signed for somebody like Peter Woods. We saw this before with Jeremiah Alexander last year, and we were like, this is it. And then it didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying this two totally different situations. And I do feel confident Peter Woods is legitimately interested. But I also feel like Clemson's in a good enough spot where if they didn't land him, there's some other guys that could fall back on and sway their way. So I feel Clemson's in a good spot either way. I would love to have Peter Woods, though.
Al, I'm thinking I'm very confident. You?
So I guess it depends on what you mean by very confident. So if you say you're very confident, what percentage are you going to give him coming to Clemson as opposed to somewhere else?
Right now, I feel very good considering the amount of times he has visited. I'm going to say I'm 70%.
Wow. Okay, so you're more confident than I am. So that's good.
It's time to take what was formerly Alabama's.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm in the 50% range. I love to ride that fence.
50% is not a range. It's indecisive.
It's what we did. Exactly. You're 100% right. It's indecisive. And so here's the thing. I think he has legitimate interest in Clemson. And for all the reasons you've laid out, there's no doubt about it. But as Houston said, man, it's hard to get somebody out of Alabama. Okay. It really is hard to get. The Jeremiah Alexander thing happened. I think these are two different personalities. And now Houston mentioned that he was not fully confident until the letter is signed. I'll be honest. If we get a public commitment from Peter Woods, I would feel confident in that because I think Peter Woods is a different kind of character. I like his mannerisms. I think his personality is more of a fit with Clemson. And I think if he were to commit that he's going to stick. That's just my opinion and the vibe I get from him. So I wouldn't be concerned if we got the commitment, but at the same time, there's no telling where this one's going to go. But I mean, there are some, good vibes being thrown out there around, the Twitterverse and the forums and all the sites and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm certainly hopeful, and hopefully we can get to the film tonight because it's some good stuff to try to review and analyze. It's a lot of great stuff there.
Alan, are you on the Twitterverse and actually not on the Twitterverse?
I am not on the Twitterverse. I know about the Twitterverse from you and Houston.
I think Houston. I think he's got a burner account somewhere we don't know about.
I do have an account.
Start searching for Dale Earnhardt loves orange. It's got to be his handle. Dale Jr. loves orange. That's probably his handle. Look for it now. All right. Next up, we've got Brad gets in over on YouTube. Go get him, Morgan. Love the show. Also, the YouTube user can't say his name because I don't know what it means. TDL, TLD, L, Tootle from Townville. John says, what happened with Antonio? We talked about that. If you missed it, you'll get the replay. Jordan Bowman says, Williams was watching teammates from Dutch Fork. Yeah, it kind of goes back through it. John Sarian says, Morgan has a nice porn stash. That's what I was going for. No,
right.
It was not.
That's Chris.
Let me tell you something. Anybody 55 plus, they've been giving me the eye. Just saying. I've gone to a couple places and I'm like, you know what? You think I'm Tom Selleck? You can see it. Now that I've said it, you can see it. You can see Tom Selleck.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe this way. Maybe this angle.
Yeah,
Tom
that
Selleck?
looks more like what's the guy from Napoleon Dynamite? The guy that wears the wig. That's what it looks more like when you turn your head this way. Yeah.
John Sarian says, any guess on the target size of this class? I'm going to say we got to at least have 17. I'm saying, depending on how many people you speculate are going to go to the NFL or transfer, you could get up to 25, to be honest. But I think realistically, you need at least 17. They have 14. That's not going to be hard to get to 17. So you're going to cover off your attrition by graduation and NFL departures. So you're going to cover that off, which Clemson's in a great spot for that. But when it comes to any players that you may not have thought that would transfer out, or maybe guys that would retire, or injuries or whatever, just those one-off situations, I think you could get up to 23. Al?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. I think you're going to be low to mid 20s, something like that. There's all kind of attrition that happens. There's a lot of people that are going to see their opportunity, dwindle here at Clemson because the talent maybe out recruited them, something like that. They'll go somewhere else, and that's all right. It happens every year, And I think Clemson is going to be somewhere around the 22-24 range, something in that ballpark.
Jordan Bowman says, I think we take 24. Jermaine Woods says, any new targets for running back and wide receiver for this upcoming class? Now, I'm just going to go ahead and assume you're related to Peter Woods. So, Jermaine, please go ahead and tell Peter to come on down. Just sign the paper. Let's do this. But if you're not, then welcome to the show. Any new targets for running back and wide receiver in this upcoming class? Well, to be honest with you, fellas, going back to my sheet over on the Morgan T Show Twitter page, the only guys that I really see that Clemson has a chance with, running back Jeremiah Cobb, who they're in a kind of a little bit of a fight over Auburn with right now. It seems like he's really leaning to Auburn, in my opinion, based on what I'm hearing. And then you've got Ronan Hannafin, who seems like he's a good opportunity because he came on an official visit.
That's
and then maybe Tyler Williams, Christian Hamilton, maybe those guys. So those are the wide receivers.
You're missing one running back. They offered Christopher Johnston out of Florida.
So they offered Christopher Johnson, which is interesting you say that. I went back in today, and he was taken off the list from 24/7. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe there was an error there. I originally had him on my sheet, and then 24/7 took him off. So I don't know whether to keep him on there or not. Houston, when you have a chance, check that out. Let me know what you think. But it was weird to me because he was definitely on there. They had 92 offers, and now they're showing only 91. Al, I don't know. You're more of a Rivals guy. Have you heard about that Christopher Johnson guy?
Yeah, I thought we had. I don't know. I say that I thought we had offered him. I know we're looking at him, and we're looking at a couple of other ones. I'm sure. And there's probably a name we're looking at that nobody even knows about yet. But yeah, Jeremiah Cobb. Right now, it looks like it's Cobb or bust. Even though we know that's not the case, Clemson will find somebody, I'm sure. But that's just kind of what it appears. And the receivers, like you're talking about, it's the same thing. I really expect the board to expand here in the near future.
You expect there to be more wide receivers because the ones that are left are reaches? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I don't know that they're. I mean, I think we're in the game with some of them, but I thought I'll tell you this. I thought at one time we were in better shape with some than we maybe currently are. But yeah, so I think we're going to have to expand the board, especially after Nathaniel Joseph took off. Now we got 2 open spots. I really think we're going to have to explore other options because we're in a legit battle for Hannafin, and Tyler Williams may or may not. He may be leaning elsewhere. So I think it would be a prudent move.
And the reason why I mentioned those names is because they're on record as official visits, whether this summer or this spring. So we know that they're somewhat interested in being a part of the program. Whether or not they're interested in committing to the program, as Alan said, is a completely different story. It seems like it's time to expand. And Alan always talks about expansion. But it is still a head scratcher. This could be another year where they really don't expand to the running backs. Could this be another year, Houston? I'll start with you, or I'll throw it to you. Could this be a year where you may not fill up your running back or your wide receiver until after December?
I mean, it could be. I don't think this is something that you have to necessarily you don't have to rush a lot of this. If you have the majority of your class filled up and your needs, like the needs this year were the line. You needed the line. You had to have an offensive and defensive lineman. You could have that wrapped up going into the fall. And we've seen this with Clemson before. There's kind of like a second wave of recruiting that happens during the season. Guys that you flip, guys that are late evaluations that turn into the Isaiah Simmons and the Travis Etiennes of the world. Not saying that's going to pop up this year, but it's a possibility. And so, you have a successful year this year. You might have somebody that you pick up late that's a late blooming wide receiver. Think about it. Antonio Williams wasn't offered until late in the year last year, and Clemson got him. It's not a problem for this to do it. I think patience is key. I think people are quick to be like, CJ Spiller and Tyler Grisham are the worst ever. No, think with your brains, people. There's a wave that goes through this. Right now, the need and the focus is the lines. They're getting that done. And the quarterback, they got that done. And the tight ends, they got that done. And they'll probably have linebackers I guess linebackers are done too. They'll have the lines and the secondary wrapped up. So really the fall is going to be spent looking to wrap up that running back position and those wide receivers.
Bowman gets in. Other than Jeremiah Cobb, the running back board looks pretty murky. Wide receiver, I don't even know what we're doing. Al, do you feel that way? Like, I don't even know what we're doing when you look at the list?
I wouldn't say it's that I don't even know what we're doing. I know what we're doing. We're focusing on the ones we want. We're focusing on the first ones on our list, our wish list. And, those are the guys at the top of our board, Williams and Hannafin. That's what we got right there. And until there's resolution with those, there's no reason to really move on or push for somebody else. As long as, Clemson still thinks they're in the ball game. I don't really care what public perception is. As long as the Clemson staff thinks there's a shot there and a decent shot, then, they've earned the trust, I think, or should have earned the trust from the fan base to go ahead and ride that out.
Players have been talking about some surprises to come. Could that be either or both wide receiver or running back? Anyone would be a surprise right now, ... I think, there are some players that to me would not be surprises because they have a public crystal ball. Zechariah Owens has been on an official visit and has a crystal ball. Harris Sewell has an official visit, an unofficial visit, and a crystal ball. And has been on the radio at least publicly announced, not him specifically, but on the radio, it's pretty much knowledge that he's the next one up probably. Then you've got Robert Billings, 3-star safety that has official visit and a crystal ball. But they did have a crystal ball for Ahmad Brown, but he went to Ole Miss. So, the crystal balls aren't perfect. But I usually try to not put the crystal balls when they're someone from the bigspur.com because I feel like they're always trying to troll us. So I usually wait till there's a better crystal ball prediction, like from Wilt Fong or someone else that is a national, level guy, or someone like an Anna Hickey who is a Clemson supporter and wouldn't go out there and do something that would be just doing it just for kicks and giggles. There's really no other crystal balls out there. So you have 3 crystal balls. That would put you at 17. That's the 2 offensive linemen Houston talked about. Then we have big speculation on Peter Woods. And then there are some fire emojis on our chart. You've got Keldrick Falk, Hunter Osborne, TJ Searcy. There's some fire emojis for linebacker, but we know that they were really looking for just 2 linebackers this cycle, so they got their 2. Colton Vasek, Jeremiah Cobb, Ronan Hannafin, Christian Hamilton, Tyler Williams. Those all have fire emojis, but again, it's not always 100% that they will pick Clemson. Dakari Nelson, Damari Brown, Braden Marshall, all kinds of guys who have been on official visits, but may or may not be for sure coming to Clemson. Houston, who would be a huge surprise for you? Is there anybody, maybe not even on our list, that we're tracking?
Well, maybe not on the list. I would caution anybody who's questioning, what's going on. Like I said earlier, you have the fall. There's going to be offers that get offered out in the fall of people that we don't even know and people that they believe they can flip. We flip people in the fall. That's happened plenty of times. There's also one other thing that people seem to be forgetting is that the all-in cookout is in July. I could be wrong. We still do the all-in cookout, right? That's at the end of July. So there's going to be a couple of recruits that have not been committed that might be there. I don't know yet. That list hasn't come to fruition yet. Probably won't for another couple weeks. Or there could be a few other people that get offers next month that nobody heard about, or they're a 4-star or something, and they're still floating around, and Clemson's interested, and they take a visit for the all-in cookout, and all of a sudden they get a boost in ratings and they commit to the Tigers, different things like that. There's a lot to happen here. It's not that they're sitting around here twiddling their thumbs. They're very strategic with this. And I think they're waiting to see how things, roll out with a few of these running backs, especially with Cobb. But I don't think they're just sitting around waiting on wide receivers and running backs. I think you're going to see some more offers get, sent out, maybe even as soon as in the next couple of weeks, and then bringing them in for the visits for the cookouts and the early season games.
Starting receivers this fall, Big Al.
So I think somebody mentioned this earlier. I guess are we going to do top 3 or are we going to do 4?
I mean, it's your show.
It's my show. It's my show right now. Yeah, I'll do 3. I think Ngata, again, assuming he's healthy, I think Ngata is your starter. I think it's going to be close between EJ Williams and Bo Collins. I think if EJ Williams is healthy and ready to go, it's probably going to be EJ. But I wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise me to see Bo Collins, especially with the chemistry he seems to have with DJ Uiagalelei. And I think Brandon Spector is kind of your slot guy. I think those are the safe picks right now. Bo and EJ are kind of interchangeable right now. But I think EJ has, he's obviously he's older, but I think he's shown a little more in his time. It's just he was injured all year last year, so he didn't really get to play. So can he come back and overtake Bo? Because Bo had a good freshman year. Let's not discount that by any means. He had some chemistry. DJ targeted him a lot. And he has some things to work on for sure, but he can. So we'll see how it goes.
Called it, Al. I did. I called it last year. I called it.
You did.
Listen, 46 people watching, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, please get in. First thing you can do to help out the show is hit the like button. More people will see the videos that we put out. More Clemson fans will. People who are searching Clemson football will see it. So hit the like button if you don't mind. If you want to get into the show, there's 2 ways to get on the show. One is to get in through the chat room, and that's what we're going through right now. The other way is if you're brave enough, you can get on the phone lines, 989-704-6674, Morg. Get in right now. We have nobody on the line. We're waiting for somebody to get in, and it will kick us off. It gives us 60 minutes, and it will kick us off after 60 minutes. So get in now. Don't let me say it again. 989-704-MORG 6674. Get in, please. Do so. We want to hear from you. All right. Also, Jordan Bowman gets in. Seems like the defensive line recruits are the ones talking the most, talking about talking about the surprises coming. Seems like the defensive line recruits are the ones that are talking the most. Makes me think they could be referring to Osborne or Woods. Mm-hmm. Bowman also says Ngata, Williams, Collins, and Spector in the slot, I would think is how it is as it stands now. Also, how is Adam Randall's rehab process on his injury from the spring? Will he be healthy enough to play at all this fall? I think we talked about it, Houston. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when he would be able to come back, but I think, if we're leaning normal time period, you're looking at probably November, maybe.
So I'm pulling up David Hood right now because he actually had a comment on this earlier. Someone asked about this, and I want to read this verbatim from Twitter. So someone, Justin Mason on Twitter, replied to one of his tweets about Antonio Williams and that saga. He said, "David, how's Adam Randall's rehab going?" And David Hood replies, "He looks fantastic. Didn't have a brace on last week at camp."
Wow.
So,
didn't have a brace already?
Yeah. The Osterine.
You joke, but it's it's just a byproduct from Buff City soap. If you get the lavender and tequila blend, there's also Osterine in there, and it'll help you to rehab faster. You haven't heard about this?
No, is he joking, Al? Is this for real?
Al, you go, Houston, you go in the front, you get your Osterine, bar of soap, and then you go out the back and you get your $5,000 in your Lamborghini. That's how it works now. That's how it
Beautiful.
works.
Oh, yeah.
You don't understand? You don't understand?
Okay.
All right. So James gets in over on YouTube and says, how many on offense are they trying to get? Only one right now? He didn't
Only
say
one
question
right
mark.
now. There's no question mark at the end of that.
I don't know why I read it like a question mark. It was like I'm Ron Burgundy. I'm Ron Burgundy. With the mustache, I am Ron Burgundy. But so how many on offense are they trying to get? Only one right now. Now, I still don't get the sentence, but anyways, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or no, wait, I'm counting this wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 on offense right now, 9 on defense. They've got to walk away with a running back this cycle. There's no way they can't get a running back. They've got to walk away with another wide receiver this cycle, at least one more. They've also got to get, and we project them to get, we expect them to get 2 more offensive linemen. So you're looking at, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the 5. That would be 9 on offense to tie the defense to make you, if there's no more on defense, that would be 18 total, but we know there's going to be probably more on defense as well. So I'm seeing 9 at least the minimum right now, maybe 10, 11 on offense. Houston?
I mean, something like that. I think they're going to end up with 2 to 3 more linemen, more like 2 if they get I'm just throwing names out there. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just speculating here. Let's say it's Owens and Sewell that they get. They might take one more depending on how the scholarships go or transfers or whatnot, but I think that's where they're going to end up with that. They're at least going to get 1 wide receiver, but probably 2 and maybe 2 running backs. I keep hearing scuttlebutt that they're going to get 2 running backs in this class. Wouldn't surprise me. I keep seeing Jarvis Green's name pop up there. I like his film. I don't think he's a primary running back. I think he's one of those that you do like Antonio Williams. That sounds terrible, but one of those that you get your guy and then you go after your other guy in the fall. I think Jarvis Green would be a culture fit, but I don't think he's the primo back that you want to headline this class.
If Clemson pulls Woods, this will be an all-time Dabo recruiting upset. Al, I mean, is that an understatement or overstatement, or you agree?
No, I think he's right on there. I mean, I think there's, you got the Jackson Carman, which was huge. Jackson Carman from Ohio State was a really big deal, I think. Justin Ross from Alabama, also huge. I'm sure there's others I'm leaving out, but those were 2 absolutely massive pulls for Clemson, and I think this would be right up there with the rest of them.
Tiger Paul says the Spencer Strider show with Big Al and Houston. By the way, I don't think he had a very good night last time he pitched, but he'll come back.
He's all right.
Is Ngata as big as Mike Williams? Seems similar to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ngata's got potential. He's just got to get out there. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to get synced up with the quarterback. That's what I think. Nick Easton putting on a master class. Morgan looks like a good old boy.
Agreed.
Tig says, who gets QB1, DJ or Cade? Honestly, I still think DJ. And that gets me started on one of the topics that we wanted to talk about. And that is a top 5 list. And let's get into our top 5. Let me pull up the text here real quick. I'm going to put up a banner. So we got top 5, because I didn't already go ahead and do this.
With 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I was about to say, we just started talking about the topics we were going to talk about.
We can do this. We can do this.
15 minutes of show, people. This is how we do it.
We can do this. Everybody, people want to talk.
I think we need to save the film for probably next week.
Yeah. Oh, no, we're going to midnight, fellas.
Oh, gosh.
All right, fellas, here we go.
Let's do it.
Top 5. I hope I spelled this right. Top 5 under the radar Clemson players for this upcoming season. This is 2022. And I maybe should put 2022. So if somebody on YouTube sees this, they don't get confused. So we'll put 2022 there. So maybe I should put for 2022. I got to do a real good sentence there. There we go. All right. Top 5 under the radar Clemson players for 2022. Al, we're going to do it this way. Houston, we're going to do it this way where we do our 5, 4, and 3 all at once, and then we'll rotate round the horn for our number 2 and number 1. I'll start with my 5, 4, 3. If I can bring it up here. Where's it at? Let's see. Okay, here we go. I got my 5, 4, and 3. You ready?
Bring it.
So for me, my number 5 is going to be something as a player that I think is not going to be picked by anybody else. I could be wrong, but under the radar player for 2022, DJ Uiagalelei. I'm going to say he's under the radar because I feel like that he has to perform. The best possible option for Clemson is if their 5-star guy that they got, that's the veteran guy on the staff, if he shows up and does what everybody thinks, does the opposite of what everybody thinks. Everybody right now thinks he's on borrowed time. He's got 4 games. He's gone. He's not any good. He's, didn't do good in the spring game. He didn't do good at the end of the season. It was all the running backs at the end of last season. He's just a lost cause. Well, I'm going to say that DJ Uiagalelei is not a lost cause, that he's going to be an under-the-radar player, at least at first. And then if he can show that he turns it around, I think it's going to be like the greatest turnaround in one season for any kind of Power 5 elite quarterback out there. Now, can he do it? It's all up to him, but he is my number 5. Number 4 is Dietrich Pennington for me. He is an offensive lineman, interior guy. We heard Dabo Swinney talk about him a ton and how huge he is and how aggressive and powerful he is. We didn't get to see anything from him because I believe he tore his ACL. And now, hopefully, Clemson will get some added depth, but maybe he can jump in on the scene and possibly be the next starting right guard if he is that good. We'll see. And then my number 3 is the position that needs to have some consistency on offense as well, and that is the slot receiver position, Brandon Spector. I want to see what he can do. Nobody really knows what he can do, especially on the national level. I want to see what he can do. So I have one guy, it's an obvious star, going to be talked about a ton, but still think that he could be an under the radar, like great, turnaround story. And then I have those other 2 guys that are typical under the radar guys that I think could show out because they're of positions of need. All right, Al, we'll start with you.
Okay, so obviously you broke the rules at your first pick. Okay, so I never would have put DJ on that list. I'm not considering him under the radar, but I do understand what you mean when you explained it. So I'm reluctantly going to allow it, but for myself, that was not an option. As a matter of fact, this is why it's so difficult to do these lists, because under the radar is such an ambiguous term, because I didn't even put Dietrich Pennington on my list, which he would have been because he was talked up, the whole season about, be able to contribute. He was having a great practice or spring practice and fall practice, and he tears his ACL or whatever, and he doesn't get to play. So I think we already knew that he was going to be a big piece. So I didn't count him either. My number 5 I started with was Tristan Lee. I stayed with the offensive line there, and it's not because I think he's going to come in and be some starter immediately or anything like that. And he may be, for all I know. But, he was a very highly recruited guy. We didn't hear anything from him last year. He had, some work to do to get his body reshaped. And I think he's going to be a solid depth guy. I'm hoping he's a guy that we see a lot this year because he's going to be important to the future. So I put him at number 5. Number 4, and this was another borderline, whether he's under the radar or not. I put Trey Williams because he was injured most of last year. And we have like a solid 3 deep in front of him of guys that you hear all the time in Rook, Davis, and Brzee. So you don't hear a lot about Williams, but I think he's got a lot of potential. I'm putting him at number 4. In number 3, I went actually with Landon Zanders. He was the guy. He was our starting safety. He was out all last season, or pretty much all last season. So we didn't really get to see a lot from him. And people were talking about before. There were some complaints a little bit about Landon Zanders, and he wasn't quick enough or he didn't do this good enough. And then we found out he was playing injured most of that season. And then he gets completely injured and can't play at all. So I'm really, really looking forward to see what a fully healthy, fully revitalized Landon Sanders can do, because I think he brings a good skill set to the table.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make this list on the fly. Sounds like everybody did research, but I'm gonna pull them out of the old noggin right here. Number 5 for me is gonna be Nathaniel Wiggins. There's been a lot of talk about this guy over the summer. You have a lot of guys on the team. We talk about the personality of the team. There's a lot of guys that are just saying, look, this dude's a stud. This guy's for real. So be on the lookout for him. I think that nobody's talking about him. He could end up being someone by the end of the year that could be on an All-American list potentially. Number 4, I'm going to say a name also y'all haven't mentioned, but I think looking at his videos over the summer is going to be a factor on offense. Phil Maffa. No one talks about him because of pace, because of Shifley. But if Maffa comes out and looks, as nimble and quick as he is on his feet, and he's cut down his weight, he's going to be a problem to deal with. He showed some flashes of that last year. I think he had to work through the freshman isms of what that is, but I think he's going to be great next year. So Phil Maffa is my number 4. And number 3 is going to be Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think he gets lost in the sense that you've got Trenton Simpson and Barrett Carter and Levante Bentley and Keith McGuire. This cat is a stud. He's a stud linebacker, and I would not be surprised if there's some formations next year where they try to get him, Trenton Simpson, and Barrett Carter on the field. That's a whole lot of speed to be dealing with. Jeremiah Trotter's also got a little bit of pop in them shoulder pads, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him really put together a solid season next year.
All right, round table. Number 2 for me, Houston already mentioned him, cornerback Nate Wiggins. EJ Williams hyped him up on Twitter a few days ago, says he is the real deal, says he's going to take over national media because of how good he is. Obviously, he's playing against him and seen him in practice. So I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins. Al.
All right, so Houston, I want to ask you a question. Were all 3 of your guys were they all freshmen last year? They were, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay, so something I did in my list, and again, this goes to everybody's definition of under the radar. I didn't put Nate Wiggins, Jeremiah Trotter, or Phil Maffa on my list simply because I thought if they flashed as freshmen, which all of them did last year at specific times, and, were built up, in the offseason, depending on who you're listening to, I didn't put any of them on my list because I'm not considering them under the radar. But I agree with everything y'all have said about them so far, without a doubt. Number 2, I'm going to echo one that Morgan had earlier. I'm putting Brandon Spector at number 2 because it's a position we need solidified. So slot has to make some noise for Clemson this year. And believe me, I think there's options there. I'm not considering Will Taylor under the radar because, he flashed in the early part of his career last year. And, I just don't know about Antonio Williams yet, if he's through getting kicked out of South Carolina or not. Who knows, how that's going to go. So we'll see. But, yeah, I think Brandon Spector is going to be a big deal. And I don't think a lot of people talk about him. I think he gets overlooked a lot. So I'm going to go with him.
So, all right, my top 2 is going to be
just do number 2.
Just number 2. Okay. Number 2. So this person, once again, a freshman, but I don't think he got the recognition that he needed to until late in the year, and you saw him flash only in the spring game, really. That is tight end Jake Brenningstool. This could be probably the best tight end Clemson's had since Jordan Leggett, in my opinion. He's got chemistry already with one quarterback who may or may not be the starter by the end of the season. Hopefully he can dial that up with the quarterback that will more than likely start the season. I think Jake Brenningstool, if things go the way that the coaching staff have said, where they're going to attack the middle of the field, utilize the tight end more, Jake Brenningstool is going to be in for a big year.
He is my number 1. And especially if Cade Klubnik becomes a quarterback, which goes against my number 5. But I think you saw from the spring game, they had a little bit of a connection. Fellas, Jake Brenningstool was a higher rated recruit than Brock Bowers. Get that man on the field and get him the football. Al?
All right. I'm gonna call both of you out again. I'm not considering him under the radar. He flashed last year in a big way. I think everybody knows what's up with Jake Brenningstool. I expect big things from him this year. And this is going to be funny because I think y'all could potentially have some issues with my number 1 as not under the radar, because I think EJ Williams, who was my number 1, is now under the radar because we haven't seen EJ Williams in forever. It's been a long time, and I think because of what happened last year and the fact that Bo Collins and Dakari Collins were the guys, and Ngata for most of the year were the ones that were out there all year, nobody's even talking about EJ Williams, and I think he's got a ton of ability, and I think he's going to flash that this year. I certainly hope so for Clemson's sake, but I think he's going to be the guy. I think people are going to remember exactly, who he is and the recruit that we all thought he was when we signed him, and I think you're going to see a lot from him this year.
So everybody's going to hate my pick because it's going to be very, very much ubiquitous here. I'm going to say my number one is the freshman class. That is the most underrated group. And you can hate it all you want, but let's okay.
If we had any rules, that would be against the rules.
But think about this: you have a potential starting quarterback out of that mix. He showed glimpses of being a guy that gets the ball out on time in the spring game, has connections and chemistry with some of the wide receivers. You have.
I'm sorry, we lost Houston there. We lost him. I'm sorry, we lost him.
We lost him.
Are we done here? Breaking this down, giving analytics here. 2 great wide receivers, a great linebacker, 2 absolutely great offensive linemen who could come in and play. That's why it was too hard to pick one, but they are under the radar right now because they're just simply not known commodities.
All the freshmen. Now, I did come out with an article over on the Roar's website and basically looked at the offensive tackles. Houston, you helped me with this a little bit, but when you look at it, you have Jordan McFadden on the left side. You have Walker Parks on the right side. You probably have Tristan Lee backing up one of those guys, and then maybe Marcus Tate and Mitchell Mays backing up based on previous depth charts. But really, I wouldn't say every one of those guys are really going to be your next offensive tackle, more than maybe Colin Sadler and Blake Miller. So there is an opportunity there, maybe not so much to get a lot of playing time, but they really do need those 2 freshmen, at least on the offensive line, to start backfilling their offensive tackles that are going to go away.
Yep, I agree with that. That's why they're on the list, Morgan. You can hate it all you want. That's why it's on the list.
Nobody actually is on the list because you put a group on the list, and which is, like I said, there's no rules. That's against the rules. All right, so we got a ton of people in the chat, guys. This was a great top 5. This was Alan's idea because we used to do top 5s all the time, and he loves them, and this is a great idea to do. We actually have done this one every single year around this time. So the summertime is when we do our top 5s. We don't do like 15 top 5s in one show like Mickey does, but we'll do one and we'll think through it. Al obviously thinks through it way more than me, and definitely way more than Houston. But Al, he is our big analyst here. Houston, you said you did it on the fly. Don't be mad. You said,
I think that's pretty creative to be on the fly, to be honest.
All right, so let's go and look in the chat and see what we've got as far as who has comments on our list here. Mark gets in, fellas. Get it.
Mark gets in at 7:58. Are you telling me he just got into the show at 7:58? Mark.
Huffer Billy Paul says XT will have a great year too. And that goes back to our rule, is XT one of those guys that's an under the radar guy, or is he a guy that should have a great year? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. What Wiggins, we're going to see Wiggins shock folks this year. Dakari Collins, I like Dakari Collins' attitude to go get the football, like our previous wide receiver, Mike Williams. I don't think anybody picked Dakari Collins. Al, you probably had some sort of eliminating rule that you couldn't pick him.
So it's funny enough, I could show you my list, and you would see EJ Williams dash Dakari Collins, because I've been pretty high on Collins' upside, but I had to choose one. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a Houston, and I'm just gonna pick one. So I ended up going with EJ Williams. But yeah, Dakari Collins, I think he could certainly show out this year. I think he could surprise a lot of guys. I think he gets overlooked.
Bill gets in Tristan Lee, Tyler Venables, Luke Price, Phil Maffa, Drew Sweeney. I don't know about this one, Bill. If Drew Sweeney becomes a star this season, something has gone wrong.
Or right, depending on how things go.
Sure. That's right.
I don't want any more Sweeneys being starting slot receivers for half of the end of the year. I don't want to see that. Peyton Page is a good one. Capehart as well. Al, I feel like we've been talking about Capehart for years. We got to see this guy on the field, baby.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for either one of those to get on the field this year, and that's one of the reasons I didn't pick Peyton Page. He's on my list as well, but I didn't pick him because he's behind four guys that we know can do it and have done it, and they're going to be your top four at least. So it's just going to be tough for the defensive tackle this year.
Bentley and Brenningstool are good picks. Did anybody say Bentley?
Nope.
Mafia, Spectre, Bentley, Wiggins, Brenningstool. Dabo is certainly super hyped on Pennington. RJ Mickens, Brandon Spector, Dietrich Pennington come to mind for me. Got a lot of guys in there. A lot of people getting in there. A lot of people getting in there and giving their opinions. We appreciate everybody getting in. Mark says, sorry I was late. Meeting with the Pope.
You know, when I initially read that, I thought it said meeting with the poop. So sorry about that, Mark.
That's what Alan does post-show.
Pre-show. Come on.
Pre-show. And post-show. You got good bowel movement there. Under the radar for Clemson could be RJ Mickens. Mm-hmm. He's not getting much talk nationally. And Makuba. See, I can't say Makuba because he got like 1,000 snaps last year.
Yeah.
Hard for me to say Barrett Carter only because he's a 5-star incumbent guy for me. Like, I feel like he's about to take over. Let me tell you something. True or false? Our linebacking core, while losing experience bigly, is about to become very, very much so more athletic.
Sure. Yep. I would totally agree with that.
I'm looking forward to the linebacker core and see what they can do. What's your guess on the starting three? Trenton Simpson, obviously, you can't take him off the field. I'm going to say Barrett Carter. Maybe you put him out there, two super fast guys. Then who's your middle linebacker?
It's going to be really tough. I mean, I think Levante Bentley has a really good chance to start, but man, I like the length of Trotter. I like his lateral movement a little bit better than Levante Bentley. I think he's got higher upside, but that's just me.
They're both freaks. I tend to think by the end of the year it'll be Trotter, Simpson, and Carter, depending on formation. You know, it might flip that around, like I said, to get Malcolm Green in there if he's playing nickel. But I think if you're going to have three pure linebackers out there, you could have Simpson, Trotter, and Carter out there by the end of the season.
Which O-lineman will surprise? Our center? Who's going to be the center? Is it going to be Will Putnam?
It looks like it.
So then who's going to be the right guard? Is it going to be Dietrich Pennington?
Looks like it.
Yep.
Could be. Mitchell Mays? Right tackle, Walker Parks. Left tackle, Jordan McFadden. Center, Will Putnam. Left guard, Marcus Tate?
Yep.
Probably.
I mean, that's what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. How did we forget Jalen Phillips? Nobody said Jalen Phillips? What's wrong with us?
I didn't forget him. He got in the game a good bit last season. He's been in the game for a couple of years. I just didn't consider him under the radar.
This will be a special year on 1 to 10 scale of specialness. Houston.
I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, what, is he going to say 7? No. No. Come on, man.
Corey gets in, says, "What's up, Morgan and Allen?"
Corey Martin. Blast from the past.
No love for Houston. Sorry,
he doesn't know Houston. I mean, come on.
I mean, who does? Who does, really?
We shared juice boxes together at Whitehall.
Okay. Matter of fact, this Clemson defense overall has the potential to be faster and more athletic than they were last year. I mean, the Clemson defense looks like just amazing. at the spring game. But at least you could say one guy that I wanted to put on the list. Let's do honorable mention real quick. I wanted to put on the list Sherrod Koval. I mean, he looked pretty good in the spring game.
I already included him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The freshman, but you cut me off there while I was talking, so it was included. Sherrod Koval was included on my list.
Alan, what's your list?
So I'll say I'll put Fred Davis in there. I think after his issue he had last year, that kind of threw him off a lot of people's radar, and they kind of threw him to the wind. But I think he's got a lot of talent. I mean, he was a 5-star if I'm not mistaken, or a borderline 5-star coming in. I think he's got all the ability in the world. So we'll see. I think he could potentially surprise some folks.
Well, I appreciate everybody getting in on the show. We're going to have to end the call-in line here, because we're at our hour. So we're ending the call-in line. Nobody got in on the call-in line. I don't know how I feel about that. I paid $35 to get a phone number so you could call in, and you're not calling in. I don't get it. You got to call in. Bring your own guts. I can't bring it for you. You have to bring it for yourself. Houston, we have a problem.
Haven't heard that before.
Tig says, how's the kicking game look? By the way, fellas, did you see Top Gun, Gunn, Robert Gunn kicked like a 60-yarder in practice?
Yeah, he's murdering it.
I did.
Murdered. Fred Davis, I forgot about him. Al mentioned him. Y'all are fine. Thank you. We do look good, don't we? Somebody also posted in. I missed the chat, but somebody also posted in that we're a very hairy bunch, which I say that's a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect.
I don't care. I look like a bear. It's okay.
Houston, did you see this argument over on Twitter between Clutch Sports Clemson and Spurs Up over who is the better quarterback, Taj Boyd or Connor Shaw?
Don't. Okay.
Did you see this?
I've seen this.
Did you see this, man?
I've seen, and here's the thing. People who follow me on Twitter know how I feel about the person that runs the Spurs Up show. Don't really care for him. But I will say I understand his point about Connor Shaw being great. He won all those games. But I can also see Clutch Sports' points of that Taj threw for way more yards, way more TDs, but he did not beat Connor Shaw head-to-head. So it's a dumb argument. That's just basically what it is. I mean, like, they have a right to say Connor Shaw was better because he won head-to-head. I mean, this no difference. I was in Willie B in 2013. Taj Boyd had a lot of issues that night when he went down there and played. He ran himself into a couple sacks, fumbled the ball going into the red zone against them. It was just turnovers were awful that night. So they got a right to say that. With that being said, I mean, Taj was pretty freaking good. And you wouldn't have Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence if it was for Taj Boyd. I just think, I think it's one of those things that you have two troll accounts, for all lack of a better term, going at each other on this, and they're just never going to stop. So,
well, Al, to your 2 cents before we say goodbye to everybody, would you pick Connor Shaw or Taj Boyd? Who's the better quarterback?
Well, I think when it comes to better I think Taj Boyd is a slightly better quarterback. But man, Connor Shaw was such a gamer. Look, there's very few Gamecocks that I will say anything nice about. Connor Shaw is one of them. That kid was an absolute gamer, incredibly clutch. Made something out of nothing. But man, Taj Boyd was going against a pretty intense defense from South Carolina at the time. So I mean, you got to give Taj a little break there. But I think Taj was overall the better quarterback and certainly had the highest upside. But yeah, I'm taking Taj Boyd. But yeah, that honestly, I'd listen to an argument of that all day because I think you could prove either way.
And I'll also leave you with this screen share here. Check this out, fellas. Look at that. Look at that.
Can't wait.
That is a stud offensive line there. Potential. Looking good. All right, everybody. We got about 43 people still in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you for being a part of the show, because you know you're a part of the show because we went through almost every single chat. If we forgot your chat or we skipped it, I'm sorry. Come in next week and get in, and you have a voucher to be first, only if you are first. You can't be like Mark Childress and check in with 5 minutes to go. Get in 7 p.m. every Thursday night on YouTube, on Facebook. Morgan Thomas, Big Al, Allen Adams, and Mr. Houston Burnett. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.
Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina, with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their 2 locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.